Good morning. Welcome back to the Red Mic. Happy Thursday. Glad you're here. Today's Red Mic message: procrastinate later. Do it on your own time. Now, you're not lazy. I'll explain. Procrastination, and I'm not talking the lazy moral failure version that people like to preach about. I'm talking about the brain version. Do you remember Peter Gibbons from Office Space? Of course you do. Peter's not lazy. He's just unmotivated by a system that punishes effort and rewards compliance. Peter shows up, he sits at his desk, he's capable, he's smart enough, though, to see the nonsense. All the new cover pages and the TPS report, all of that. But for Peter, the cost of engagement is pointless meetings, meaningless reports, bosses who don't listen, work that goes nowhere, and recent neuroscience research from Kyoto University identified a brain circuit that helps explain why people like Peter, and sometimes me, put off certain tasks, even though when there's a clear reward waiting on the other side. Now, here's the short version. Your brain doesn't avoid work, it avoids anticipated discomfort. Now, in the study, subjects were given clear choices. It was a species of monkey. I think it's pronounced macaque, but don't quote me. They were given choices between a smaller reward with no downside whatsoever or a larger reward paired with an unpleasant experience. Sort of like when you were in college and you had the gorgeous girlfriend, but she was cray cray. When discomfort entered the picture, motivation collapsed, even though the payoff was better. And what they figured out is that there's a circuit in the brain that acts like a brake on your motivation. When the brain predicts stress, punishment, or discomfort, that circuit suppresses your impulse to act. So, what did the researchers actually do? I would say the neuroscientist's name, but I think it's Japanese and I don't want to butcher it, so I'm just not going to say it. Their goal was simple. Why does motivation drop when a task is tied to stress or discomfort, even when the reward is overwhelming? So they worked with these monkeys and they started with an easy setup. First, the monkeys were a little thirsty and they could choose between two levers. One gave them a little bit of water. The other delivered a lot more with no downside. And the monkeys figured this out and they consistently chose the bigger reward. Then the researchers figured, okay, they understand the task and they're motivated by the payoff, so they added some friction. They got the small drink of water with no strings attached, or they added that bigger drink of water, but a blast of air to the face. Same reward logic, but there was a new cost. Now, the minute the discomfort entered the picture, their motivation completely fell off the cliff. Even though the payoff was substantially better, the monkeys hesitated or avoided that task entirely. That helped the researchers figured out a brain circuit that kicks in when an unpleasant experience is expected. Think of it as in your brain. Then researchers blocked that signal with a drug. When they did, the monkeys suddenly became willing to start the task again, even with the air blast as part of the deal. They turned off the brake. The important thing in this is the drug didn't make the monkeys more motivated. It only changed the behavior when the discomfort was involved. When there was no downside, nothing changed at all. And what this tells us is your brain is not shutting down your motivation across the board. It's selectively slowing you down when it thinks something is going to feel bad. In a lot of cases, that pause that we call procrastination is not laziness. It's your brain tapping the brakes and saying, wait a minute, this is going to cost you something. And that's procrastination. It's not laziness. It's not a lack of ambition. It's not weak character. It's a protective mechanism. For Peter, it was his whole motivation in not messing up was he didn't want 14 different people coming by to tell him how he screwed up. So that pushed him into the borderline lazy kind of category. But as he explained to the Bobs, it's not that I'm lazy, I just don't care. So when the researchers disrupted that break in the brain, the motivation returned even for the unpleasant tasks. And That means that procrastination isn't random, it's selective. You don't procrastinate everything. There's some things you jump right into. You procrastinate certain things, the ones your brain associates with friction, stress, embarrassment, or emotional cost. That's why people answer the easy emails instantly, but they sometimes delay the hard conversations. They clean their desk instead of starting that report. They plan endlessly, but maybe they don't take the first steps. Your brain is trying to protect you from burnout, from friction, from stress, from that blast of air in the face. But the protection can easily turn into avoidance. Now, in the workplace and leadership where discomfort is unavoidable, that avoidance can become very costly. If you wait until a task feels good, you're never really going to do the work that actually matters. So listen to that warning signal and try to overcome it. Your brain's going to avoid that discomfort more than it seeks the reward. But the growth lies on the other side of that predicted pain. High performers and leaders learn how to recognize that break and ease it off intentionally. Protection becomes a problem when it replaces responsibility, and your brain is trying to help you. Your job is deciding when to listen and when to move anyway. And that's today's Red Mike message. Hope you found it interesting or helpful. I hope you're able to put some of these things in place in your own life. I appreciate you so very much for being here. Tomorrow, hashtag Fun Friday, we're going to talk a little bit about something that I learned on WKRP in Cincinnati. Yes, the old TV show with Howard Hessman and Tim Reed and Gary Sandy and Lonnie Anderson. So join me tomorrow. I love you guys. I'll see you next time. And until next time, don't forget, life is short. Drink the bourbon.